Good morning, everybody. Well, we're back again. Your auto team help you avoid being ripped off by your local car dealer. We're broadcasting out of South Florida, but we're all over the place. We're getting the mystery shopping report in Georgia. You'll hear at the end of this show. And we reach all over Oregon, California, Canada, Virginia, occasionally across the pond overseas. And we're streaming, too. We're not just a radio show anymore. 20 years ago we were, when Nancy Stewart and I founded this show with a little radio station called Seaview, which subsequently was sold. And we now have Vic Canali, a group which has been wonderful to us, allow us to express our opinions to you, the car buyers of the world. And he's avoided lawsuits. He has a disclaimer at the beginning of the show, and he says he takes no responsibility for what we had to say, but we've never been sued. Why? Because we speak candidly, but the truth is perfect. A perfect defense against libel or slander. And we talk about car dealers. We name names. We name dealerships. Mystery Shopping Report is probably the most, I guess you could say, dangerous thing if I was worried about liability. Because if a dealer is stealing, we say you're stealing. If a dealer is being honest, we tell them they're honest. But we also say when they've been dishonest. We talk about the sales managers. We name that name if we have it. We usually do. And the names of the salespeople. The only secret name is, of course, our mystery shopper, otherwise known as Agent Lightning. And we don't do that for liability purposes. We do that to protect her identity so that she can go to different dealerships without being spotted. And usually that works. Occasionally, our mystery shopper does get spotted. This Agent Lightning is our current mystery shopper, and she's been with us for, I guess, almost a couple of years now, but we've had other mystery shoppers over the years. That's an informative and entertaining part of the show, but the best part of the show is you. I'm not saying that to flatter you as you listen. I'm saying that because the callers to the show, I use the callers in the broad sense because we also have the texters. We also have the anonymous feedback that goes through the website anonymously. We have YouTube. YouTube.com/Earl on Cars. We have Facebook.com/Earl on Cars. And you can also go to www.streamearloncars.com. www.streamearloncars.com. And we are right here in the studio. Nancy Stewart to my left, me, and we've got Rick Kearney. We've got Stu Stewart. He had some back issues. He had those taken care of. This week he's in Philadelphia visiting our granddaughter in college. And hopefully he'll be back next week. But you, as I say, call the show not just with your contributions, but with your criticism. Constructive criticism would be preferred, but any type of criticism will be accepted. We want to hear what you think about us and what we can do to improve. But your contributions in terms of what's going on in your community are very helpful. And your experiences when you've had your car in for service, maybe in for body repair, maybe you've got some issues with an insurance company, mechanical repairs, electronic repairs, computer repairs. We're all driving rolling computers now. They're not really mechanical devices anymore. They're far more sophisticated, and they're better. And the product is getting better and better and better. We'll talk today about the J.D. Power survey, and they took the 2020 cars, and 3 years later they reported back on the number of issues per 100 cars on the road for each make car. And that's interesting. I mean, there's some big changes. For example, Kia made a quantum leap forward in quality. I remember when Kia first came to this country from Korea, it was just kind of a piece of junk, kind of like the Yugo. Remember when the Yugo came from Italy and Russia, depending on where it was manufactured? It was just, of course, the Yugo still is a piece of junk, but the Kia has really come up in quality. I mean, it's right up there competitively with some of the best makes. So that's kind of interesting. And a lot of people consider this show a negative comment on the auto industry. It isn't really negative, it's just real. And if you listen carefully, a lot of good things are happening. And we are at a watershed moment in auto history. And I think I can say that because I've been in the business since 1968. And I've seen a whole lot of change. The auto franchise system has been around for about 100 years. And we're seeing that change as we speak. It's changing. The auto manufacturers are talking about selling directly to you, like Elon Musk and Tesla do. And the dealers are a little bit upset about that, obviously, because their investments, their businesses, their employees themselves, their livelihoods are at stake. Suddenly, what would happen if Honda decided to eliminate their dealer network and sell directly to you, like Tesla does? Well, think about all those Honda dealers. Something to be said in their defense, because they've got a lot of money invested in what they do. Let me give some numbers out. As I said earlier, you make the show. The telephone number is 877-960-9960. 877-960-9960. Now, you'll hear that number a lot, and we'll all remind you about that number. It'll probably bore the heck out of some of you folks that listen to a greater portion of the show. But remember, people tune in for 15 minutes, then they tune out. That's the average statistic I've heard. We're a 2-hour show. We're on from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time today. People are listening all over. So I'm going to give the number out a lot. Please forgive me if you're listening for a long time, but it's 877-960-9960. Now, Nancy Stewart to my left has got her laptop open. She's looking at the screen. We have Jeremy in the control room here. Jeremy will notify her when that phone rings. He'll get your contact information, and he will let Nancy know that you're waiting to speak. If I'm yakking, or Rick Kearney's yakking, or whoever's yakking, we'll stop, because we prioritize phone calls. We like the phone calls. Personality comes through. It's just warmer and fuzzier. I think it works really well to make the show more interesting. So please call 877-960-9960. 877-960-9960, and we will answer that phone ASAP. If you don't want to use this phone and you want to text, I'm a texter. I prefer text phones, personally. The text number is 772-497-6530. That text number is 772-497-6530. Now, Rick Kearney is also monitoring those as he monitors Facebook, facebook.com/Earl on Cars, and, of course, YouTube. That's our biggest source. I don't know why, but it is. YouTube. YouTube.com/Earl on Cars. Earl on Cars. YouTube.com/Earl on Cars. So there we go. I'm going to introduce Nancy Stewart now. Most of you know her. New listeners don't. She co-founded the show with me 20 years ago. She is a strong female advocate, and I mean that in the most positive sense. She has built this show from no female listeners or callers. Well, we probably had the listeners. They just weren't calling. Remember, half the world is is female, and half the people that buy cars and drive cars are female. Why wouldn't anybody be calling the show that was female? Well, she changed that. Now we have pretty close to 50-50 female callers, and we're still encouraging you ladies out there to call the show. If you haven't called the show before, listen to this offer that Nancy's going to tell you about. It sounds too good to be true. It sounds like there's strings attached, but it's not. It's true. Nancy?
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. You are an important part of the show. Very important. Give us a call toll-free at 877-960-9960, and you can text us at 772-497-6530. Ladies, not everyone knows that women represent a huge opportunity for the auto industry, but we know it. This morning, for the first 2 new female callers, I have $50 for each of you. Take advantage of that and give us a call at 877-960-9960. And as Earl said earlier, we have some good news. We have things are changing. The inventory shortage is it's not as quite as stressful, still a bit stressful, but as I said, things are moving in a positive direction. And used cars, the used car prices have fallen. I believe it's 25%, and still, have a lot further to fall. I have a website for you this morning that I'd like you to take advantage of if you run into any problems in purchasing a vehicle, leasing a vehicle, anything at all that has to do with you, the car buyer. That's www.floridaLawProtectingCarBuyers.com. Jot it down. You'll need it. www.floridaLawProtectingCarBuyers.com. Again, give us a call, 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. And don't forget, youranonymousfeedback.com. We are going to go straight to the phones. We are going to talk to Jeannie, who is a first-time caller from Hope Sound. Good morning, Jeannie.
Good morning. Such a pleasure. The website, thank you. I love that.
Oh, thank you. You can, Jeannie, stay on the line when we're finished, and you can talk to Jeremy. Give him your contact information, and I can send you a check for $50.
Well, thank you.
Welcome. What can we do for you this morning?
Well, I've been told that my car needs synthetic and a mixed oil. So I want to do full synthetic, but then I'm told that the mix is a better run on my car. So as a consumer, I want to make the right choice and know an answer from a professional.
Exactly. And Rick can definitely help you make that choice. Rick?
Why? What car do you drive?
2019 Kia Forte.
And do you know what the oil cap says on top of the engine? Usually right on...
Oh, God,
I don't think she does, Rick. I don't think people...
I'm going by what the dealership tells me.
Yeah.
And I'm not too happy with the dealership. I call them stealerships now.
Yeah,
that sounds real
unfortunately,
good.
there's a lot of bad ones out there. The best way is either checking your owner's manual, or if you open the hood and just look for the oil cap, it will usually say on there a number, probably something along the lines of like 0W20. And if it says that, then that is a synthetic oil. And that's the weight that Kia, the factory, recommends for that engine. And that's the oil that I would tell them, use this oil. I don't want anything else. I don't want to hear about your fancy razzmatazz. I want what the factory says should be in this car. And in your glove box, you also should have received a maintenance guide that will tell you what the factory recommends for maintenance is and at what mileage intervals and time intervals. And if you follow that maintenance guide, you'll get the best service out of your car.
Perfect. I will look in my manual. I never even thought about that. Thank you.
You know, Jeannie, I was just going to say, I think we think in terms... I have a negative opinion about owner's manuals. We're in the digital age now, and I think the owner's manuals of automobiles are one of the last things that are going to be brought up to date. We should have a digital access like we do everything else. Where do I go when I have a question? I don't call Rick. I don't call Nancy. I don't call anybody. I Google it. And Google, right?
We do a lot of Googling, Jeannie.
So all you have to do, I shouldn't tell you this because you wouldn't even have to listen to the show if you, but you just Google your Kia and just say Kia and the model number and what oil do I use, and bam, bam, bam. It'll tell you, instead of walking out the car and popping the hood and looking at the oil, at the cap on the oil, which is what Rick just told you to do. And then you don't have to call a dealership either and get put on hold and transferred 3 times, then disconnected. You just take out your smartphone, bam, Google, bam, you got the answer.
I like that. Thank you. That's funny.
And Jeannie, to what Earl said about the owner's manual, I love the quick reference owner's manual. You know, you can just leaf through there with a quickness. But this morning, maybe Rick thought he was talking to Nancy when he said pop the hood, because I pop the hood all the time.
There's also the owner's manual and the maintenance guides. Those are available online too, so you could Google those, pull them up, and find it in a couple seconds.
Everything is on the internet, and Google is a great resource for you to get all kinds of information. Jeannie, do you have any other questions?
No, I don't at the time, but I did enjoy this conversation.
Oh, thank you so much. That makes us very happy, and I'm sure all of the listeners enjoyed your conversation too. And I do have to thank you for helping me build a platform right here for the ladies. As I said earlier, and a lot of people do not know this, women represent a huge opportunity for the auto industry, and for them to ignore it is a financial disaster. Thank you, Jeannie.
That's true. Thank you. Pleasure. Thank you.
Spread the word. Look forward to hearing from you again.
I will. I certainly will call back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that number again is 877-960-9960. You can text us at 772-497-6530. And also, your anonymous feedback, you can take advantage of that. And also, I gave you a website earlier, and recently there's been a big request for that website, and it is to help you to know if the Florida car dealer is breaking the law, which is going on a whole lot. And that is www.floridalawprotectingcarbuyers.com. Take advantage of that. Jot it down. It's important information. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
I just Googled what type of oil you're supposed to use in a Kia, and it popped up just S5W20 synthetic oil. The best Kia for a 2019 Kia is the S5W20 synthetic oil. So again, I say that, kind of half tongue in cheek, but really one of the problems that we have with the cars we own is we don't take advantage of the simple, accurate, straightforward way to go. And the search engines today, and if you're over 50 or over 60 years old, maybe you're not quite as digitally competent, but I bet you have a son or daughter or a grandson or granddaughter that is, and they can show you or they can do it for you. But it's amazing now. The search engines are now going into artificial intelligence, and Microsoft is coming up challenging Google. And there's a lot of thought that Microsoft, with their artificial intelligence, it's still in the beta program now, will exceed Google in terms of a search engine. And but Google's also using the artificial intelligence now, where you can just go online with Google and just verbally say, hey, I'm driving a 2019 Kia, what kind of oil should I use? Mm-hmm. And they'll talk back to you. Yeah. And it'll be you'll have almost like a human conversation, and like you could call Earl on cars, except they're a lot smarter than we are.
I'll tell you the information The world's at our fingertips, without a doubt. If you have a computer, or if you don't, you can always go to the library. But there's so much information that you can obtain, and Google is just amazing. Moving along here, did you know that Tesla is to open some EVs? It's going to open these chargers to
Superchargers.
non-Tesla EVs. I'll tell you what, good marketing move, is it not? And as Earl said, those are superchargers. Okay, we are going to go to Rick, if you have anything for me or
Well,
for
we
the
can-
audience.
We can start right off with Anne Marie's text, as we always usually do.
Good morning, Anne-Marie.
She says, "Good morning. Many of us have kept our cars longer than we usually do because of the lack of new and used cars. Keeping a car longer makes it more likely that we'll have a warning light come on at some point. Some lights are just reminders to get us to do something, like the service required. Others indicate an immediate need to take action. Call a tow truck. Could you please go through the warning lights and indicators? Which ones are just warnings and which ones indicate imminent danger? Thanks." Well, there's actually a very simple way to judge this. You'll see the lights on the dash have one of three colors, except for the high beam indicator, which is usually blue. You'll see green indicator lights. Those are safe. That's like your headlights are on, maybe cruise control is on. Don't even worry about those. Those are just informing you that a particular system is turned on. Yellow lights are warning. This is something that you should look at when you get a moment. Maybe it's your tire light running a little low on air pressure. Could be just temperature causing that. Or maybe one of the tire sensors is starting, the battery's getting old, so that yellow light will come on. Yellow is just like the yellow on a traffic light, caution. Red means danger. Shut the engine off, find out what's going on, because red is you've got a problem that could cause damage to your vehicle
Rick, didn't we
and
have
cost
that,
you a lot of money.
Didn't we have that same text last week?
Very similar.
Yeah.
But it actually was a question, I think, about the flashing check engine light.
Oh,
Yeah, we get a lot of calls on that and a lot of texts.
so on the check engine light, when the flashing, you need to stop and get it taken care of immediately.
Yes.
And then with the other warning lights, it's the color code to tell you yellow, red, or what was the other one?
Green.
Green. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Very good.
And also with that warning light, I didn't hear you say, so confirm if this is an accurate statement on my part, but the gas lid that could possibly be open, that would activate that yellow.
A very real possibility. Yep. Okay. Get the little list back up here. Let's see. This one is from Bob. He says, "Good morning. This past week I've been looking at different new cars on Auto Trader. There seems that a lot of dealers are lowering their prices below MSRP. Even if they add some extras, they appear to be being sold very close to the manufacturer's MSRP. I checked some of the MSRPs off on manufacturers' websites. There are some over, but this puts a lot on even par for pricing. Have a great day, Bob."
Yeah, the prices are coming down, but the warning that we have been issuing on the show for the whole time we've been on the show is buyer beware. The general level is coming down. MSRP used to be the most a dealer would charge, and now it's become a good price. with the microchip shortage, which is over, and with the manufacturing restrictions, which are over, we're building the inventories, and the prices are coming down. So it's all relative. You have two things to worry about: the actual price you pay and the relative price compared where you might have bought it better. So it's still complicated. You're still going to be paying more than normal, but the new car prices are coming down. But by the same token, the costs are going up for the manufacturers, and in that sense, their costs are rising. So it's complicated. It boils down to one simple thing: competition is your best friend. No matter whether cars are being sold for $5,000 over sticker or $5,000 below sticker, it'll be a long time before we get there. But if we ever do, your mission as a educated consumer is to go out and shop and compare. Competition is the more car dealers you have in your market of the make car you want to buy, the easier it is for you. If you're in a metro area, you probably have 5, 6, 7 maybe Toyota dealers or Honda dealers or Chevrolet dealers, and be sure you shop each of them within any kind of a reasonable driving distance. There's really no excuse anymore not to do that because you can shop online, and I also recommend you do that. Don't think in terms of MSRP. That's a moving target. It used to be MSRP, how much over MSRP do I have to pay? And it'll come down to MSRP, then it'll be how much under MSRP do I have to pay? But that number has to be determined. The best way to get the lowest price, and I feel bad about the people that don't have a Costco a warehouse in your market. But if you're anywhere near a Costco warehouse, the Costco auto buying program is the best I know of. And the reason for that is Costco contracts with the dealers. And a good percentage, a very high percentage of the car dealers are on the Costco auto buying program. The contract they have with Costco says, I will sell no car in my inventory at a higher price. I will sell at a lower price than I do to anybody else if you're a Costco member. Now, it costs you $65 a year, I think, to join Costco. So if you're not a Costco member, join. I mean, $65 is chump change compared to what you can save in buying a new car or a used car. They have a used car program also. So no matter, it's a moving target. The prices are coming down. And rather than you try to determine exactly how far the prices come down, because that's an average. You know what they say about an average? The guy who drowned crossing a river because it had an average height of 5 feet. You know, averages have highs and lows. So if you don't get, you can get a below average price at Costco. You'll get the lowest price in your market at Costco. So that's my recommendation.
I have a question for you. We talk about MSRP, we talk about fees, and we don't have enough time for me to mention all the fees, dock fees, dealer fee, anything you want, spaghetti fees. When will we not be talking anymore about market adjustment? When will that be eliminated? We're talking now about used cars plummeting. We're talking about Tesla in the same conversation. What you can pay for a used Tesla today is I don't know, is it like $6,000 less? But market adjustment, we see that in a lot of our mystery shopping reports, and we see that a lot on with customers calling us and telling us, can we get out of the market adjustment fee?
Well, it's coming when the manufacturers sell directly. And that's what the dealers are doing. They're driving. The dealer's worst fear is that they will no longer be franchised to sell the make car they have. And there's some pretty big dealers out there: AutoNation, Penske, Lithia, Sonic Auto Group. I mean, there's big investments in auto dealerships. I have a big investment in our auto dealership, so I hate to see me being no longer franchised to sell Toyotas. The games that the dealers are playing to take advantage of customers with the dealer addendums and the dock fees and all the other hidden fees, the dealer install accessories, and everybody that walks into a car dealership today pays a different price. The better bargainer you are, the more sophisticated, the more experienced, the lower the price you get. If you haven't bought a car before and you're not shrewd and the dealer can outfox you, then you pay a huge price. So the dealers are going to be the reason behind their own demise. And it's getting close. All the manufacturers, I promise you, are having secret meetings saying, how are we going to get out of this dealer franchise system we got? I want to sell cars. We want to sell cars directly to you like Tesla does. Now, this show, Earl and Cars, we've shopped Tesla and we shopped, what was the other one?
Lucid.
Lucid?
Lucid. And did we shop Tesla twice?
Once.
But the two electric manufacturers, Lucid and Tesla, they don't have any hidden fees. They don't have any dealer-installed accessories. They sell at the same price that the manufacturer sells for because they are the manufacturer. They're not in business separately as a second markup. There's only one markup, and then to win the market, you try to have a competitive markup. As a matter of fact, Tesla is gaining a lot of market share right now because they have lower prices than Lucid. Lucid prices are so high, they're having problems. That's what competition is supposed to do for you, the buyer, the consumer. And what you don't have in the retail franchise system is honest competition. You have dishonest competition. So, long way of answering a simple question. It'll probably be 5 to 10 years, and there won't be any more addendum labels or anything else because the manufacturers will be selling directly.
Well, I really think that it'll be less than that if, and it's a big if, Ashley Moody were to get involved. The Attorney General has a lot to do with this. I want to tell you...
Don't hold your breath.
Market adjustment. I'm an optimist. Market adjustment. I mean, please, we talk about fees. Let's talk about market adjustment. My goodness gracious, it should be outlawed. When you're talking about spending an investment on a car or a home, these are big investments in your lifetime. Back to the car, let me tell you, to be paying $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for a market adjustment, it is just not right, well, Ashley Moody.
Nancy, that's not going to happen. See, the dealers control the politicians.
So you're telling me the Attorney General can't do anything about this?
She can, but she won't.
What is she in office for?
She won't. See, that's the point. And the reason we have we have a lot of attorney generals, we have a lot of local regulators, but the auto industry, including the retail, the dealers, and the wholesale, the manufacturers, the organizations, and the political action committees, they are the ones who control what regulation we have. Ashley Moody and all the other 49 attorney generals, if they buck the National Automobile Dealers Association and the state association and the dealers, they'll never get reelected. So this has been going on for 100 years. We've had franchise dealers for over 100 years, and the regulators aren't doing anything. We are having a watershed moment in our whole history of auto retailing, and the retailing will go from the dealers to the manufacturers. When it goes to the manufacturers, there will be no dealer fees. There will be no addendum labels. There will be no hidden fees, and that's the only thing that's going to save the industry.
I understand what you're saying, but all of this wasted time on manufacturers and dealers continuously battling each other. Washington, D.C., battling each other. Let's do something productive. Let's do something for the people, the consumers. That's why everybody was elected. That's all I'm saying, and this is not right. A market adjustment fee, it is not right. I'm leaving for Washington, D.C. Everybody, bye-bye.
Okay.
A little bit of heat.
This one is coming in from Anonymous and says, is a Tesla fender bender difficult or expensive to repair? Can you drive around a Tesla with damage until repaired? Also, is it expensive to insure compared to your other cars? Thanks.
It is very expensive, and this was pointed out to me about a week or two ago. We were talking about insurance. Tesla is coming out with their own insurance, And I think the reason they're doing that is because the regular insurance companies, Geico and Progressive and State Farm and Allstate, the rest of them, they do charge more. It isn't because the Tesla has problems with autonomous driving, and there's a lot of people that blast Tesla all the time because they say the autonomous, they're unsafe and blah, blah, blah. It's because the materials that Tesla uses, advanced materials that they use, are rare and expensive. And so if you have a fender bender with a Tesla, it costs you a lot more to repair than if you have a fender bender with a Chevrolet or a Honda.
This one's from Jim in North Carolina. He says, Earl, on a new 23 Toyota Tacoma, from the time you get an allocation from SET, how long does it take for you, the dealer, to receive the vehicle? I know once you receive the allocation, the car has not even been built yet, but was wanting to know how long it will take the dealer to receive the vehicle, particularly the Tacoma. Thanks, Jim from North Carolina.
Yeah, it sounds like someone that has a Tacoma on order, because we've got a couple thousand cars on order in our order bank. Every model of a particular make has a varying pipeline, so to speak. And the Tacoma is a high demand, low supply, and it's got a long pipeline. When we get allocated a car, all that means is that Toyota has said, we're going to build the car, and they will very quickly assign a VIN number. So as soon as the car goes into production, we have a VIN number, and that's, of course, the vehicle identification number. That is the specific car that's being built. Now, how long is it going to be from the time we get the VIN number? It depends on supply and demand. Depends on where the car is manufactured. For Toyota, most cars are manufactured in the U.S. now, and some other make cars are in the U.S. Some cars are only made overseas. So if the car's coming from California or Japan or your local state, that all figures into it. And then how many people are asking for that particular make of car to buy? So it could be from the time we get allocated, it could be a week or two, or it could be a month or two. And we can find out, and we should tell you, one of the problems we have with our dealership is our salespeople are just getting lazy because they're not really selling cars the way they used to. They're taking orders, and they're sending it to the manufacturer, and then we're waiting for Toyota to decide to build it. I don't mean decide when they can build it because of the demand and supply situation. So they're order takers now. They're more buyers than we've ever had. The prices are higher than we've ever seen. And so we take the order. It goes into the manufacturer. If the person that ordered the car changes their mind, that's okay with us because there's 3 or 4 people waiting for that same car. So it's a surreal situation we find ourselves in. And I apologize to my customers because we don't do a very good job of telling you. We should call you every week and say, Mr. Jones, you ordered this Tacoma from us a month ago. We just got allocated. For best knowledge, that car should be in the 3 weeks. And then you call them next week and say, I was wrong. It's not going to be 3 weeks. It's going to be 2 weeks. When you spend $40,000 or $50,000 on anything and you have to wait, you want to know when you're going to get it. And too many dealers now are just taking these for granted, and they don't keep the buyers informed. And I know it's not just my dealership. It's a lot of other dealerships that do that. So great question.
And for all of you that are listening to this show right now, and you heard what Earl said, this is an important subject to us. We realize that communication is extremely important. And for so many of you who have ordered a vehicle and you haven't exactly, heard from a dealership, once every maybe 2 weeks. I'll say once every 2 weeks. Actually, it should be once every week. We have empathy and sympathy for you. We realized you spent a whole lot of money and you've been waiting a long time. But I'm just here to let you know that we know it and we know it's an important topic and we're working towards perfecting the whole situation. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. We're going to go back to Rick, but first I'm going to tell Howard. Howard, if you're still listening, give us a call back. Sorry I couldn't grab your call quick enough.
Okay. And this one came in on Facebook from Chuck. Earl, what are your thoughts on the Tesla recall?
Oh, interesting. They're recalling my car, my Tesla Plaid. I think it's good. Elon Musk's response to that is Tesla recall is not the right name for what happened with Tesla. He says there is no recall. In other words, we're not asking, NHTSA is simply saying you have an issue with your autonomous driving and fix it. And so the Tesla owners who have a recall car don't have to bring their car back to Tesla because they will have it fixed online just by leaving it parked in their garage or wherever it's parked. It's going to be a software repair, and it will be done wirelessly. It'll be done Wi-Fi on AT&T wireless, and you'll never even have to bring the car in. So I keep my Tesla plugged in every night, and I won't have to wait. I'll just walk out when they do the recall, and I'll get a little flash on my screen say, your recall has been accomplished, and it'll be fixed. It had to do, the recall with Tesla had to do with the what they call Toyota self-driving, total self-driving. It isn't really, that's a misnomer. The autonomous still has a lot of bugs that need to be fixed. And Nancy and I have encountered this. As a matter of fact, I had to promise Nancy I would never turn on the autonomous when she was in the car. So the other day when she wasn't in the car...
Because you know what I'll do. I do carry a blade.
The other day when I wasn't in the car and I was driving somewhere, it was really kind of a scary situation. It was a...
That's an understatement.
So it was the grounds for the NHTSA repair was the fact that their autonomous driving software sometimes directly caused the car to violate local traffic laws. So that's a technicality they went out on. And I can see that, but we all violate, local traffic laws. Humans, they probably violate local traffic laws a lot more than Tesla will. I know one of the things they're going at, which I thought was interesting, when I have my car Tesla on autonomous, up on my screen it says 55 miles an hour. Then it says adjust. Now I can adjust it up to 65. Now that's a violation of the law. So I'm sure somebody, but by the same token, think about this. If you ever been on I-95 or any other turnpike highway and the posted speed is 65 or 55 or 75 or whatever it is, and if you go at the posted speed, what happens?
You get run over.
You get run over. So Tesla has an adjustment because if you don't have an adjustment, it's unsafe. If you adjust it, you're breaking the law. But if you don't adjust it, you get rear-ended. So that's what the Tesla recall is all about. But I love the fact that I can just not have to, how many people don't have the recalls done because you just haven't got the time to take it to the dealer? You call the dealer, you can't get through the switchboard on the phone, and when you finally get it in, they say that they don't have the part, and if you bring it in, they'll tell you to take it 1 day and it takes 3 days. So people don't get recalls done, and 25%, well, not only 75% of the people never have the recall done. Because there's all kinds of recalls. I mean, some of them are not really dangerous, but most recalls are never accomplished because of the inconvenience. Now, in the digital age, most of our recalls are all going to be done wirelessly while your car's parked. I love it.
All right. This one is from another Bob. He says, when buying a used 1-year-old car, is the original factory warranty valid to the new buyer?
Yeah, the warranty, the factory warranties go with the car, not the buyer. So no matter how often it's changed hands, if you've got a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty and it's changed hands 3 times, and you're the third owner, and there's still less than 36,000 or 3 years on the car, then you still have the warranty.
And that's got us caught up here on YouTube and text messages.
How many people? This is an interesting thing. I ran across this the other one. News. How many people know of an auto manufacturer called VinFast? VinFast. VinFast. How many people have ever heard of this? If you haven't heard of VinFast, then you don't know the CEO. The CEO of VinFast is Li-Thai Thu Thui. Li-Thi-Thu-Thui. I mean, all the experts in here. I'll float that out there, and maybe someone out there knows the answer. If you don't, you can Google it.
If you know the answer, give us a call at
Well,
877-960-9960.
It's an auto manufacturer, and the CEO is L.E. Li-Thai, Thi, Thu, Thu, Thui, Thui. I mean, and they're a big manufacturer. They're new, obviously, and it'd be interesting. Who knows about that? Okay, let's talk about the conflict between the dealers and the manufacturers. This was written up in Automotive News, and Nancy went on a rant about 20 minutes ago about the Attorney General and why don't the regulators do something about cleaning up the act of the dealers. And this speaks to what's happening now at this watershed moment in our auto history. The manufacturers are some openly, for example, Honda, saying we're going to sell direct to the consumer. I mean, that's got to shake up a lot of Honda dealers. Others are kind of not talking about it, but in behind closed doors, all the manufacturers are saying, how can we get out of these franchise dealers that are embarrassing us by the games they're playing, by the fact that auto dealers are last in the annual Gallup survey on honesty and ethics in professions.
No, we're not.
Oh, who is?
I looked it up. December of 22, we actually moved up to number 3.
Wow. From the bottom.
Ahead of lobbyists and telemarketers.
Ah, so doesn't that make you feel good as a car dealer? We're only better than marketers, telemarketers, or
Lobbyists.
Wow.
And the lobbyists are why the regulators aren't doing anything to clean up the act. So here we are, the manufacturers trying to go direct for obvious reasons. They want to sell more cars. They want to sell cars honestly. They don't want the reputation of the dealer to taint their reputation as auto manufacturers. And that happens all the time. I mean, there's some quality dealers out there, manufacturers out there that really want the best for their customers, but they have to go through a third party, which is the car dealer, and the car dealer is embarrassing them. That's got to be cleaned up. Now the dealers are attacking the manufacturers, and there's a secret war going on. The dealers are going after the manufacturers to try to make more money. They are going to their lobbyists and to their state associations, to their federal associations, trying to get the manufacturers to pay them more than they're entitled to do warranty work. And the mediators, I read this in Automotive News, and they kind of represent the Henry Kissingers between the car dealers and auto manufacturers because they have to cater to both. They're saying, hey, listen, you dealers and you manufacturers, you got to come together. If you don't come together and you start fighting each other, then who's going to win? The consumer is going to win because the consumer is going to get their way and the manufacturers will be selling direct.
Well, one thing I can say about the dealers and manufacturers, they're consistent. With that said, we're going to go back to the phones where we have Bob holding. He's calling us from Lake Park. and Marty will be with you momentarily. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. I'd like to make a correction on the warranty transfer with Hyundai.
Okay.
The second owner doesn't get the full warranty transfer on the powertrain. It gets reduced.
What is it reduced to, Bob?
I believe it's reduced from 10 years to 5.
Oh.
It goes to 560. I think it's 10-100, and it goes to 560 on the Hyundais.
Well, thank you very much for correcting me. I
You don't
appreciate
get the
it.
full.
Yeah.
You get the other part of the warranty. I think is transferable, but there's an adjustment made on the second owner.
I see. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Do you drive a Hyundai, Bob?
No, I have a Mustang. Thank you.
Thank you for calling.
Okay, have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bob. Our number here is 877-960-9960, and you can also text us at 772-497-6530. We're going to go to Marty, who's holding in West Palm Beach. Good morning, Marty.
Hi, how you doing? How you doing today?
Great.
I just have to, excuse me, if the car manufacturers were to sell direct, who's going to do the service?
Well, they'll have it'll probably be set up like Tesla is. They will have actual satellite, repair areas for the cars in their market. So they'll have it'll look just like a dealership. Matter of fact, I always call the Tesla a dealership. It's not a dealership. It's owned by Tesla, and Lucid also has a repair facility. They have technicians, and they do exactly what a dealer does, or probably better, because they're going to treat you a lot more fairly. You're not going to have hidden fees. You go to the service department today, we talk about dealer fees a lot, hidden fees. Service departments have hidden fees. They don't call them dealer fees. They call them miscellaneous. They call them hazardous waste disposal. The dealers screw the customers in the service department and the showroom. Manufacturers don't do that. I'm not saying maybe they're better human beings than manufacturers. I'm saying a big target like General Motors or Ford or Honda or Toyota, they're afraid, and they're a big target. And if they start taking advantage with hidden fees, they're going to get nailed in a hurry. So, don't be worried about getting your car fixed. They'll have regional areas also, stockpiling cars. They'll have a warehouse stockpiling cars, and they'll have locations where they can have them readily serviced.
I know, look, every time I come into your dealership for service, I mean, people are coming in there constantly. And then there's also people that come in with no appointment, that they have to get something fixed.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, they would have to have now, obviously, they sell more Toyotas than they sell, electric cars.
Not for long.
So, right now Tesla can have its one service area on Okeechobee Boulevard for everybody that bought a Tesla in Palm Beach County. But I think they're going to need you. They're going to need you.
Well,
to
not as much. I mean, I
service.
appreciate that. I mean, I hope they need me, but I got to face reality. And the cars today. I mean, I'm just this Tesla. I'm not. Hey, listen. There are better cars than Tesla. Tesla's got problems. I mean, they got a lot of problems. But the concept of Tesla and the electric vehicle, flash forward 10 years, all the cars are going to be so good that you're not going to require maintenance hardly at all. Repairs will be done wirelessly while your car is parked in your garage. I've been in the Tesla store once or twice. I've had the car for a year. I talked last week, I think. I had a windshield washer. My windshield washer was malfunctioning. Tesla came out to my house and went in the garage, jacked it up, put in a new washer motor. So even when there is something that has to be done, they'll be doing it in your home. They understand, a lot of the people understand now that the consumer wants convenience. They want to buy a car. They want the car to get them where they want to go and back home again, and they don't want it to be a complicated part of their life. So there will be that convenience that we have, but that just won't be the need for it, Marty. I know how you feel, but 10 years from now, some people buy a car and they'll never have it into the service department until they'll trade it in. They'll never go to the service department.
I got one other question that Rick, I'm sure, can answer. Years ago, cars needed a tune-up. Now I never hear of a car needing a tune-up. Do they need tune-ups?
Well, years ago, a tune-up was the technician would adjust the carburetor to adjust the flow of the fuel going in, and he would adjust the timing on the distributor. Well, now the computer controls the fuel going in through the injectors multiple times a second per cylinder, and it adjusts the timing multiple times a second per cylinder. So technically, the computer is doing a tune-up on your car probably 20 or 30 times a second as you're driving down the road. It uses the information from all the sensors to determine what adjustments it needs to make. The only thing that really is done now is most cars, I'm going to say, are on 60,000 mile spark plugs or 120 or 150,000 mile for the spark plugs. And that's a tune-up anymore, is just replacing the spark plugs when they're come due.
Yeah, how would a person know, except I guess if the car's not running right, that they need spark plugs?
In the maintenance guide on your car, it'll tell you at what mileage you should replace the spark plugs.
Okay. And is that a simple job now, or is that still the dealership will shaft you?
Some cars, it's 20, 30 minutes. Other cars, it's 4 or 5 hours. Like, say, a Highlander just did one yesterday. You've got to remove the intake plenum, which is the plastic piece that flows all the air to each individual cylinder to access those back 3 spark plugs, and they are buried. Thankfully, those only need to get done every 120,000 miles.
And what would the cost of that job be?
Around $450 to $500.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess if you're going to keep the car that long, it's still cheaper than buying a new car.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, very good. Thanks.
Thank you, Marty.
Earl, don't worry about it. You're going to be in business a while.
I'm not worried about it. I'm worried about not for me, for my sons, because they're in the business. So we're all. I'll be honest with you. We're all every dealer, whether they admit it or not, is worried about this issue, and we all see the handwriting on the wall. We just don't like to talk about it.
All right. All right. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Marty. Great hearing from you. Remember, ladies, I have $50 for the next new female caller. $50. So there's still time for you to give me a call at 877-960-9960. We're going to go to Dominic, who's calling us from Coral Springs. Good morning, Dominic.
Good morning. I've got a question about a car that I have. I've got a 2006 Lexus. It was top of the line, and I decided that would be my last car. When I bought it, I was 65, and I just had it redone and had all shocks and everything done. And now my headlight was going out, and I told the guy to put a new headlight in, and he says, it's not a new headlight, it's the assembly. And he said, what you need to do is buy a new car. Is there any inexpensive way to fix the headlights on this Lexus? It's got 61,000 miles on it.
Truth be told, the most cost-efficient repair is to replace the headlight itself. It's the assembly. It's an LED type assembly. It's going to be a few $100s, but on an 06 Lexus with 60,000 miles on it, and I'm going to kind of step onto a limb here and guess that you've got a garage-kept car. You keep it in the garage?
I used to before my wife put her car in the garage.
Ah, gotcha. But I'm betting it's probably this car probably looks really really good.
It does.
I would replace that headlight in a heartbeat. I would go to
Well-
another mechanic, say I want that assembly, get it from Lexus, and replace that part. Because truth be told, you've got a fantastic car. An '06 Lexus with 60,000 miles is going to last you another 10 years or more. That there's nothing wrong with putting a little extra to get that headlight in properly, and the cost of that versus the cost of a new car, I'd stick with that old one all day long myself.
Okay, I was quoted $2,000 a headlight.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is expensive.
Well, can you shop
Wow.
that? I mean, where can you buy headlamp assembly other than Lexus?
Well, you can get aftermarket headlight assemblies. The only drawback, they may not last as long, but that is another alternative. Look online on Google, on Amazon, and look for headlight assemblies for your car.
And one other thing you might consider, for any operation, service, or maintenance operation on a Lexus, if you can find a Toyota dealer you trust, they will do the maintenance repair work a lot cheaper than Lexus. Lexus is the high price spread. Most of their customers are very affluent. Most of them have a few extra bucks to throw around, and they charge higher prices. A Toyota dealer in your market that you can deal with, you should at least get competitive pricing there. But if you could go online, or have someone, one of your kids or somebody you know that's handy online, and shop for the Lexus 2006 headlight assembly, even if it's an aftermarket. If it's, let's say, if you buy it on Amazon, for example, if it has high ratings, but for the people that bought it, then you can take that assembly to a Toyota dealer, and you might save yourself a whole lot of money. I mean, it sounds like a lot of trouble, but if you go to a Lexus dealer, you got to pay all the money. They get all the money, and because they can.
Well, I'm actually going to disagree with Earl on one point here. I wouldn't go to a Toyota dealer. I would go to an independent mechanic.
Oh,
Because an independent mechanic is actually going to cost you even less than a Toyota dealer
true,
will.
true.
And the only reason I had mentioned of getting the part from Lexus is you would then know, even a Toyota dealer for an '06, for that assembly, he's going to have to go through Lexus to get it. But an independent mechanic can quite often get a wholesale rate through Lexus to get a lower price on the headlight than you were if you walked into the dealer and bought it yourself. But they're also going to give you a lower price on the actual installation. And I know there are lots of good independent mechanics out there that can do that job perfectly for a very good rate. And you might also even consider the website called rockauto.com for parts on there. But if you do, I would look very carefully at what parts you're looking at and what the reviews are, and make sure you get a good quality one.
When you, Rick, this is for Dominic. If you were to purchase a headlight assembly kit, and you were to take it to that independent, repair shop, would they accept the fact that you brought that kit in?
Yes.
They would?
Most independents would have no problem with that.
Because I see here, I Googled it, and there's prices that range from $250 to $1,000, but then there's prices from $75 to $400 if you do take advantage of what you just said about taking it to a repair shop.
Right.
I'm looking
That's
at
amazing because I was quoted $2,000 a light. That's amazing.
Was that at the dealership, Dominic? Was that at Lexus?
No, it's my mechanic. A guy I go to all the time.
Oh,
Dominic, I'm looking at Amazon right now, and Amazon's Choice, which they usually put 4 stars plus. There's a company called ACANII, and they have prices in the 300 to 400, 500 area. So I really believe I prefer Amazon because you can get the reviews for people that have actually bought the product and they rate the product. So I'd go to Amazon, put your model in Lexus, I'd buy it on Amazon, and as Rick suggested, I'd take it to an independent mechanic that would install it for you. You'll save yourself a lot of money.
Yeah.
And one other quick
Thank you.
suggestion.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Go online and look for Lexus forums for local Lexus owners, because Lexus is another one that has a great following of owners that love their cars. Connect up with some of the guys on there that are local in Palm Beach County area or local to you, and ask them what mechanics they go to, who they trust with their cars, and you could get hooked up with somebody aftermarket that can do some incredible work for you.
Great information.
Well, appreciate it. And let me tell you this. I really appreciate your show.
Thank
I
you.
enjoy listening to it because it brings me back to when everybody was honest at one time or another.
Thank you so much, Dominic, from all of us.
All right. Thank you so much for your information. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Keep on listening.
Right.
Have a great weekend. We are finally going to get to Howard. Howard has been waiting patiently. Good morning, Howard.
Good morning. I hope you all are fine. Not such nice weather on the beach today, but it's better than up north. By the way, did you know something? New York City has not had snow this year. They broke a record. January 29th was the last time. Earl, not Rick. Earl, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yeah,
I'll give you a hint.
All set.
Okay. How can you Ford a Jeep? Ford, F-O-R-D. And I'll give you a hint if you can't answer the question.
Now, say that again.
How do you Ford a Jeep? F-O-R-D, a Jeep.
How do I Ford a Jeep?
Not a Ford. Ford, F-O-R-D.
How do you Ford as in a Ford?
No, he said not a Ford.
F-O-R-D.
How do you Ford a Jeep? In other words, you mean like Ford across the river with a Jeep?
You gave it up. I wanted Earl to answer. Rick, please.
I'm sorry. I may have a scratchy voice, but I got a clever mind.
Yeah. So can you explain that so Earl can learn something?
It's the language is, if you're crossing a river, you're ford the river.
Yeah.
So if you've got a Jeep and you're going to drive across the river.
I understand fording a river, but I didn't understand fording a Jeep. So that's yeah.
Yeah, I did it. In the Korean War.
Oh, so you had a real Jeep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had a GP. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Now, Earl, I have an idea. I think this may work. In order to save a lot of fuel, I would suggest that the government puts into place a plan. 2025, 1/4 of the cars must be hybrid. 2026, 3/4, etc., and going down the line. What do you think of that idea? Instead of just going straight into electric, to have more hybrids being produced, and the government is insisting on this. What do you think of that plan?
Yeah. Anytime you say the government insisting on something, I get nervous, and the government. We got the greatest country in the world, but politicians are politicians, and they tell us what we want to hear. And behind closed doors, they take a lot of money from a lot of big companies and other people to do what they want to do. I'm not, I very vehemently criticize our government and the politicians, but at the same time, I'm applauding them because I wouldn't want to live anywhere else in the world. But I'd rather have all the crap that we take from our politicians and all the influence that the lobbyists have on our legislatures and our regulators than live in China. I don't want to live in China. I don't want to live in Libya. I don't. This is the only place. But I just don't. I don't like it when they monkey with the economy and try to. Even when they have good intentions, they pass these laws. They turn around and backfire. I think the electric vehicle revolution will take place just because it's a better product. You know, it's you build a better mousetrap. Somebody is building a better mousetrap now, and the world will flock to your door when you do that. So, EVs are going to come, and you can do subsidies. You can do you can punish people for not having an EV, but it's going to happen because the electric vehicle is a superior vehicle.
Okay. My last question is, why did they discontinue the Solara? I think it was 2022 when it was discontinued.
Yeah, it's
and
terrible. Toyota, you know, I as a local dealer in Florida, I thought it was the dumbest thing they've ever done. But if I were to talk to the head of Toyota, remember, they sell these cars all over the world. And we see a lot of convertibles in Florida because this is convertible territory. You know, it's especially during the winter. What's nicer than being out with the top down in your convertible? But you know, if you live in Minneapolis or you live in, Anchorage, the world is a big place. And I could tell you exactly what happened. The Solara wasn't. It was taking up space in some assembly line somewhere. People wanted to buy a lot of Toyotas, and the assembly line that they had to build the Solaras wasn't getting used enough. They could use it to build something that's selling faster, so they discontinued it. I felt the same way about a number of models that were popular in the Sun Belt states, but they weren't popular in the rest of the world. So today, the good news for you Solara owners, they're worth almost what you paid for at the beginning. I mean, a Solara is like an antique car that's worth a lot of money.
do you get any Solaras in your used car lot?
Not enough. I mean, when they come in, they get sold. Every time I talk to a Solera owner, I say, and this is before the shortage and the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, but the Solera convertible is such a highly desirable car. I say to them, hang on to that car. It's only going to grow. It's the only car you ever bought that's appreciating in value. And I said, if you ever decide you don't want to, please let me buy it because I'll pay you a lot of money for it. But if you have a Solera convertible, and there are other cars like that, that just, you got lucky, you bought it at the right time, and they're worth more today than when you bought it. No other used car can you say that about.
That's great news for Solera owners.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And Howard, you have a better chance of pulling over someone who's driving a Solara, a Celica, an Avalon, and making them an offer. It's just amazing how much those cars are worth right now, today.
Okay, thank you. Good information. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Howard. Thanks for your patience. We're going to Doug in Boca. Good morning, Doug. Good morning, Doug.
There? Maybe we lost Doug.
Good morning, Doug.
Hey, I'm here.
There he is.
Good morning.
That was quick. I missed the sunrise today, but I'm sure I can watch it later.
Hey, Doug, did you know that Boca Raton is one of the few cities that will not allow car dealers? They're a very smart government there. They ban car dealers. If you want to buy a car in Boca Raton, you got to go to Delray or south to Fort Lauderdale.
I know. Isn't that amazing? Well, I'm glad that you didn't try to start a car dealership in Boca. So my question is, I'm sure I'm beating a dead horse here, but I think I'm going to give up on the Toyota GR series. I even called your dealership, and they said, "Oh, we'll get back to you." I go, "Okay." It just seems like it's such a hard car to get, and if you want to get it, then they mark it up anywhere between $10,000 to as much as $20,000.
Yeah,
depends on the model.
No, it's a bad situation, and I have it with my own sales force. We're right now on a mission to relearn the car business. We've been living in La La Disneyland, or whatever you want to call it, for the past 3 years, and this is true for all car dealers. And the salespeople, I'm probably going to get a lot of salespeople mad at me now, but it wasn't your fault. I'm not mad at the salespeople because of anything they did. We are living in an artificial bubble of prosperity. And if you're a car salesperson today, people are begging you to buy a car, and you're doing them a favor, and you're charging them all the money for the car, and then you order it, and then you go and find somebody else to order the car. You don't even want to tell the customer you sold the car to last month if and when his car is going to be there. So it's a sad situation. I like to think my dealership is doing a better job than others, but be honest with you, I get calls, and so does Nancy all the time, say, I bought a car 3 months ago, I bought a car 4 months ago, when's it going to be here? I called the salesman, he didn't return my phone call. And everybody in my dealership listening to me now is saying, boy, I can't believe he's saying that about us. Well, I'm not saying that about all, but some of us in all of the dealerships down there are not treating our customers the way we should.
Yeah, and I mean, even with my car that I bought in 2020, the SI, they keep calling me up. They go, "Hey, we want to buy your car. Come in. We have a new SI. We'll give you a deal." So I went in there to Delray Honda, and the sales guy said, "Okay, we'll take a look at your car." So they looked at my car and they said, "Okay, we're going to offer you $27,000 for it." And the new SI is only, are you sitting down? $43,000. I looked at the sticker.
They call that stealing the trade, or stealing the car. Yeah. That's it's always been a huge part of the business. Is every car dealer always tries to buy a car. Well, that's because it's a horse trading business, the only one left. For 100 years now, car dealers have been treating customers like they're buying a horse and not a car. They call it haggling. And they do it when they sell you the car, and they do it when they buy your car. So when you say, "What? You're crazy. Oh, wait a minute. Let me go talk to my manager. Instead of $27,000, maybe we can do a little better." And they play the game. Meanwhile, you can sell the car for twice that, and you got to go through this game playing. That's the reason the franchise system is dead in the water. They're dead. They just don't know it. And 10 years from now, there won't be any car dealers.
Wow. Well, I hope you're still there because you're the only...
I hope so, too. But I'm 82 years old. Remember that? So.
Oh, really? Oh. I never knew that because watching you every morning...
Well, thank you.
I could do it.
Thank you. Well, I feel like I'm 22.
You do this every morning. It's amazing.
Yeah, the sunrise, not the radio show.
Yeah, exactly, Doug.
Yeah.
At age 82 and age 80, the schedule that Earl and I have, it's amazing. I'm looking for two people that are our age and keep up the pace that we keep. And there's things we do you don't even know about. Doug, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for calling, as always. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
And Ella says hello.
Oh. Hi, Ella. Meow.
Hello. Okay, we're going to go to Roadrunner Steve, who's been holding in Boynton.
Oh.
Always a pleasure to talk to Roadrunner Steve. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. I feel happier already.
You fill us with energy.
Yeah, ain't it Forge River, not Ford River? Ain't it Forge, Forge?
Yeah, You're right. Yeah, Forge.
Ford a river, forge a knife.
Oh, Forge.
Is that right? Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
Ford the river.
I'm going to have to Google that. Boy. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I know you're right.
When you hit my age of 92, you'll get a little smarter.
Is that right? God bless you.
I'm giving you the story. Okay. Tonight at 8 o'clock on MeTV, they're going to have the greatest Mopar chase ever seen on TV.
Look at
Everybody remember the movie Duel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It's either, that's on tonight at 8 o'clock with a Plymouth, I think it's a Signet, or the Dodge Dart, I'm not sure. Because I couldn't get straight Google on it. Plus, it was a slant 6 motor with that. And the funny part was, when Dennis Weed was driving the car was overheating. So guess what he did to cool down the car? What trick do you always use?
I'm afraid to ask.
He put the heater on.
Yep.
We love you.
I learned that on my 69 Barracuda sled. Put the heat on.
There you
to
go.
cool down the car. And that's about it, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Thank you. Thank
That
you.
was a
All right,
71 Plymouth Valiant that he was driving.
I like the Valiant? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Plymouth Valiant.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And it was red.
Yes. And he was up against a 1955 Peterbilt. I just
And you
Googled it,
never
but
seen the driver.
because I remember that movie because that was one incredible movie.
Yes, it was. One of the greatest Mopar chases in history.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, I've been watching Highway Patrol.
Oh,
Do you know Brian
Wow.
Crawford? He switched from those Buicks. He started driving Dodge Coronets with the push-button trannies on the dashboard.
wow.
And they were all V8 because I seen the dual exhaust.
Yep.
tell
Okay,
you.
that's it for me.
You have a lot of information for us, Steve. We love you. Unfortunately,
take care,
in 8 hours and 47 minutes, I'll be in bed. Because that's when,
Oh, okay.
so I might miss that show. Thanks, Steve.
DVR it. Just DVR it. It's
There you
on
go.
YouTube.
There you go.
148 episodes. I'm up to 140.
Holy moly.
10-4?
10-4.
10-4?
10-4,
Okay.
Steve.
Listen to our mystery shopping report, Steve. We'll talk with you later.
Yes, I do. I love them. Thank you.
You're
Have a
welcome.
good day.
Okay, folks. I'll give out that text number. It's
Can
really
I-
important because 772-497-6530. You're a big part of the mystery shopping report when it does come up. We have a few things to get to before that. But again, that number, 772-497-6530. Now, back to the recovering car dealer.
Well, nobody called in about the new car company that I asked about earlier, VinFast, VINFAST. If you Googled it, that's cheating. But it's a Vietnamese automaker, and their CEO is Lee Thai Thu Thuy. And you Vietnamese folks out there, tell me if I mispronounce it. LETHITHUTHUY. But he's a CEO, and they shipped their first cars to California in January, and they're going on sale this month. Now, they're going to be big in EVs. They're starting out with piston cars, but they are going to go all out for EV. You have to. But, the whole idea, you older folks out there, I mean, that remember Vietnam, and even the older folks who remember, the World War II. I started in business with Toyota in 1975. Now, that's a long way from 1945, but still, I can remember when I started in 1975, a lot of people were just bitter because I can't believe you're selling a damn Japanese car, and you can't blame people. I mean, you lost your son, or maybe you were wounded yourself, and you fought in the war, and it was pretty rough. And now here you are buying a product from the enemy in your mind's eye. And when I first heard that, the fact that now we are friends, and it's kind of cool that can happen. I know I'm getting philosophical here, but that you can. It gives you hope in my mind that you can have a terrible, bloody, deadly war, and then years later you become friends and you become partners in commerce. That happened in Japan. It's happening in Vietnam. Maybe it'll happen with Russia and China. I mean, it'd really be nice if we could just have all friends for countries. And it is, because it is a global economy that we're dealing with.
Absolutely. It says right here in the automotive news that drumming up vehicle buyers remains a challenge. It remains a challenge for the brand, which is virtually unknown in North America.
Yeah.
VinFast has about 12,000 U.S. reservations, and for this VF8, VF9 electric crossover.
The other little bulletin I get from automotive news of interest, especially to you Ford owners out there, Nancy and I are, I say friends with, we know the CEO of Ford because he was Toyota originally, and James Farley, very great guy. He's a smart guy. He's a good manager. But the reason we liked him so much is that he understood the buyer, and he had compassion. He understood. He started with Toyota as the head of the Scion division. The Scion division was a vision that Toyota had. Hey, we're going to build a car, and we're going to sell a car the way cars should be sold, because we know cars are being sold wrong now. And they're being built wrong also. And they came up with this it was like a pie in the sky dream, as it turned out, the bubble popped. But Jim Farley pushed it and did a great job. And we had a lot of conversations because we had a Scion franchise. They made the Scion franchise separate from Toyota. You had to have your own showroom. You had to have your own salespeople. They didn't allow you to mark the price up. The price you saw was the price you paid. They had a lot more safety features, and it was a great vision. Well, it was a huge flop, and Jim Farley left, and he went to Ford. So Ford saw the same thing that Jim Farley, I think, Toyota saw, and they brought him in. Unfortunately, he's been there for 2 years, and Ford is stumbling now. So for you folks that are Ford owners out there, Ford's having some real problems. And Jim Farley, if anybody can bring him out of the slump, well, he's been there for 2 years. He hasn't done it yet. He made a statement that is almost hard to believe that he would publicly say this. He said that Ford has 25% more engineers to build the same car that our competition does. Ooh, them's fighting words. I mean,
wow.
How do you think everybody in Ford feels that works for Ford Motor Company when the CEO says, I'm going to start firing engineers? And if he's going to be firing engineers, he's going to be firing a lot of other people. So be thinking about it. I'm not telling you to trade your Ford in. Ford builds some very good products, like the F-150, the best-selling vehicle in the world, I think. It's certainly the best-selling truck, and it's a very good truck, by the way. So you can have a great product, but if you don't have the management and the vision, we'll see if Jim Farley can deliver that. But it's words of warning to you Ford owners out there. Keep your eye on it. You don't want to be another Oldsmobile or another Pontiac, because there are no more Oldsmobiles and there are no more Pontiacs. This whole landscape we see of manufacturers, there's not going to be as many manufacturers 10 years from now as there are now. So you're better off to be with one of the winners than one of the losers, so be thinking about that.
Absolutely. Okay, I think do you have any more breaking news for us?
We got a couple over here, though.
Yeah.
Do you have some text?
First one, the comment from Rocky Blockatiel. He says, you guys are in your 80s? Amazing. You look great.
Well, thank you
very much.
Who was that?
Rocky Blockatiel.
Rocky, thank you so much.
And
we'll definitely take the compliment.
And this one from Paul, he says, here's a legal question. I noticed on buyer worksheets shown during mystery shopping reports that sales tax is added at the end. Last week, your report indicated the sales tax was charged on the phony dealer fee and on the phony government fees. Since a government fee is a tax to begin with, how can a dealer charge a tax on a tax? or charge a tax on something that doesn't exist. Who keeps that money?
Well, if I don't even remember about the particular incident, but there are dealers that will inadvertently or on purpose, probably inadvertently, charge a tax on a tax. And it's a mistake, but it is illegal. You can't do that. You can't tax a tax. And that's my definition. The litmus test, is it a phony fee, is it a hidden fee, or is it a real fee? The litmus test is, did they charge you sales tax on that? And you can calculate it. You take your buyer's order, or sometimes the worksheet, and you can look at the sales tax, and then by looking at the sum total of the sales tax was charged on, find out if they did charge you the sales tax. Dealers get in trouble all the time for not charging sales tax on things they should, but sometimes they probably do it the other way, and they're making money for the state of Florida, in my case, or whatever state you're in, and they're charging sales tax on a tax it's not supposed to be.
And this one, hi guys, Casey in Canada. I was down at my dad's down in North Palm Beach, and I love your show. Question, I have a 2020 Tacoma, and I do all my own maintenance. Why is it so hard to find a detailed maintenance schedule that breaks down everything from plugs, fluids, etc.? I'm finding so many conflicting schedules or schedules that don't list the front differential or transfer case oil intervals. Where can I find an accurate schedule that I can print and keep? Casey, it's already been done. You should have in your glove compartment in the manual, along with your owner's manual, a maintenance guide that will tell you for a Tacoma, it should be broken down as every 5,000 miles, exactly what the factory recommends for maintenance on your vehicle at that particular time. If you don't have that book, stop in at your local dealer and ask them for it. Odds are they will be more than happy to order one and get it for you. They might charge you a couple, $10, $20 for it. The other way is you can go online and find it online. You're looking for the Toyota factory maintenance schedule and print it right off of there.
Now, I believe, if I heard this correctly, that person is doing the maintenance themselves.
Yes.
Now, this is a long shot because the Toyota Tacoma is a good product. You're probably not going to have warranty problems, problems that would be covered under warranty. But Toyota requires that you have that work done. If you have it done other than a dealership, you should keep your receipts. I'm not sure what you would do if you do it yourself. What I would suggest, and Rick maybe has a better idea, I would suggest that you keep a little diary. And when you do it, put the date and the time. If you bought some oil, show the receipt for the oil. Oil filters, the same thing. But if you keep a running diary of the maintenance you did, it would be some form of proof. Unlikely that they would give you a problem with that, but certainly if you go to an independent repair or maintenance place, you get receipts there. All they require is the maintenance be done, and you have to have some kind of, if they say, well, so you couldn't have possibly been doing the maintenance because this particular failure could only occur if you didn't change your oil. You have to have a counter argument to that.
Exactly. Saving the receipts, awesome. I definitely do that idea.
Okay.
Because I actually did have a customer that came in one time and we pulled the oil filter off of their car. The car had like 35,000 miles. The number on the filter was the only way you get that number is when they come from the factory. Oh. The filters that Toyota will sell you or anyone else would sell you has a different part number on it. So I knew it was the factory original filter. This customer said they'd had their neighbor, they'd been paying a neighbor to do all their maintenance. The guy never changed the oil once on this car, and the engine was full of sludge, locked up and destroyed.
Wow.
So make sure if you're going to have someone do it, find someone that you definitely trust that's going to do it right, save your receipts, and if you're doing it yourself, like Earl says, save your receipts along with a list of exactly what maintenance you did
Right.
And that way you've got a paper trail
Sure.
to fall back on.
That paper trail is very important, and saving your receipts is always a good idea. We are going to have to get to our mystery shopping report. We're running out of time. I want to let everyone know that Agent Lightning walked us through the Chatham Parkway Toyota. She recently was in Savannah, Georgia, and I'll tell you what, Agent Lightning is irreplaceable. She is just amazing, and the encounters that she has had through the years is also amazing. So please vote this morning on the Mystery Shopping Report, 772-497-6530. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
Okay, here's the report. And as Nancy just said, this was in Georgia, and we love it when we can compare other markets. We found the Pennsylvania market, for example, to be a lot low key, a lot more honest, a lot more transparent, and even Tennessee. So we know South Florida is the worst of the worst of the worst. So we're comparing apples and oranges oftentimes. So good to get out of state. Here's a report. I'll be speaking in the first person as if I were Agent Lightning. I arrived at Chatham Parkway Toyota in Savannah, Georgia, and was greeted by a friendly customer service lady who asked if I was looking for a particular salesperson. I replied, "No, this is my first time here." And she called out to a salesman named Chevy. I find that kind of humorous. A salesperson named Chevy in a Toyota dealership. But he gets a lot of kidding for that. And asked if he was available. Chevy came over to shake my hand, politely asked me if I wanted a refreshment while he found someone to help me. As I looked around the dealership, I couldn't help but notice that all the sales managers behind the glass office were wearing bright red suit coats, sport jackets, I guess you could call them. Isn't that interesting? They had a soda fountain machine, coffee, and snacks, and that was a nice touch. A few minutes later, a salesman named Thaddeus Hines introduced himself and asked what brought me in. Interesting names. And names interest me. Chevy and Thaddeus so far. I saw you have a few hybrid Highlanders in stock, and I'd like to check them out, I said. We have one available. Now, I'll pause here briefly. The auto manufacturers, I know Toyota for a fact, being a Toyota dealer, they control the websites of their dealers. And they, unfortunately, put on the dealer's website the car being in inventory when it's not. And I don't know why they do that. I've argued directly with Toyota about that, and they gave me one of these, well, that's just our policy. You know, I love that, don't you? When someone's doing something wrong, they say, well, that's the way we do it. I get a lot, doctors do that a lot, and hospitals do that a lot, but auto manufacturers, I don't like it. If you say a dealer has a car, the car should be on the ground. It shouldn't be on a truck somewhere between the manufacturer and the dealer, because customers will come into your dealership and ask to see the car, and it's on the truck 200 miles away. If you're lucky, it might still be in the plant. So here, Agent Lightning came in and saw several Highlanders stock and found out, fortunately, they did have one. Okay, back to the shopping report. Let me grab the keys and we could take it for a spin, he said, Thaddeus. Since it was raining outside, Thaddeus offered me an umbrella. Nice touch. You got to love the Southern hospitality. When we approached the car, I took note of the window sticker and their addendum, the infamous addendum. The actual MSRP was $44,701. The addendum listed, love this stuff, market adjustment, $3,500. Market adjustment. Don't you love it? Nitrogen. $250.
Oh, boy.
Nitrogen. Window tint. Oh, God, they really went all the way on this, too. $495 for a window tint. Screen shield. $295. I found out later what that is. $295 is absurd. And of course, you add all that up, and it spells mother. No, it spells $49,241 instead of $44,701. During the test drive, Thaddeus showed me all the features of the car, including the screen shield on the computer screen that they installed for an extra, now on the, yeah, $295 for a little plastic thing. They put up a
$300 for a screen protector that you can put on yourself.
Yeah, right. After we returned to the dealership, Thaddeus asked for my license and contact information. Can I ask if you own your own home and how long you've lived there, he asked. I interrupted him to say that I didn't want to run my credit up just yet because I wasn't thrilled about the huge market adjustment on the sticker. Most dealerships, if not all in this area, are still doing market adjustments, Thaddeus explained. It's kind of, you remember when you were a kid and your mother said, why did you jump into the lake with all your clothes on? And you said, because all the other boys and girls did. And I won't tell you what your mother said when you know what your mother said. So Thaddeus says, well, all the other dealers are screwing the customers, so we screw the customers too. I also shared that I thought it was a total ripoff to charge $250 for nitrogen, which is essentially just air in the tires. And if you remember how your high school chemistry, you probably know that air is 78% nitrogen. So they're charging you, what was it, $250 to put air in your tires. And Consumer Reports, by the way, if you're still doubting me, Consumer Reports, Google Consumer Reports, nitrogen in car tires, Google that, and you will find out after a one-year study of all make tires, they concluded, Consumer Reports, that nitrogen is worthless. So if they charge you nothing, it's okay. Go to Costco. Costco puts nitrogen in your tires, but they don't charge you for it. So it's worthless, but you don't pay anything for it. So, well, why complain? He said he'd speak to the manager to see what he could do about the additional options. So the game begins, right? Oh, the mean manager is doing this, but I'm on your side. I'll go to the manager and I'll be your advocate and I'll fight for you to get a lower price. That's the game. That's the car buying game. And you wonder why the manufacturers want to sell cars directly, like Tesla. Thaddeus excused himself, returned about 10 minutes later with a worksheet, the infamous worksheet. The worksheet is, as you may or may not know, exists because it's not a legal document. So you can play games on a worksheet. It's not a legal document. And the defense of the dealer, if you hire a lawyer, says, well, that's not the buyer's order. That's just a worksheet. That's just a negotiation. So we didn't say they had to pay this. This is just a worksheet. So that's the interim thing. You'll never get a copy, or I won't say never, but rarely get a copy of the real buyer's order because it is a legal document. If you're lucky, you'll get a copy of the worksheet. I was able to have my manager remove the adjustment completely, he said. He presented me with a worksheet. Now, I've got the worksheet here. This is what a typical worksheet looks like if you're streaming or you're on Facebook or YouTube. You can see this. And the MSRP is still $44,701, and selling price, they say, is $44,701, but it's not really the selling price. See? And below that, they add process dock fee. That's their name for their hidden fee. I say it's hidden because they're still saying the selling price is $44,701. It's not, because this is profit, $869.50. That's added to the $44,701. So why do they call it the selling price? Because they're lying to you. Then they add to the selling price. I mean, you sell the car for the selling price, don't you? No. The Luminar film, another $295. The window tint, another $495. The nitrogen, another $250. Now, he just said his manager was going to take away the increase. The only thing he took away was the market adjustment. Then he added it back in on the worksheet. Bottom line, $869 plus $295 plus $495 plus $250 added to the advertised price, $44,701. Turn the page. Thaddeus explained that the processing and dock fee, which was $869.50, included the dealer fee, registration, and plates. Now that's just not true. It's just not true. He charged the sales tax on the whole amount. He did not separate it out. And if you look at the worksheet, you can see total sales price, and you can see that the sales tax was added there. So there we are in Chatham, near Savannah, Georgia, and we have to grade this dealership on their relative selling ethics and honesty. I say relative, it's a curve, we call it, because so far we've never found a perfectly honest dealer. So we don't say an A is 100%. We say we grade on the curve. You know, you probably had that in school. If the best grade in the class was 85, then they get an A. If the worst grade in the class was 65, they get an F. You don't do 100 and then draw the line somewhere arbitrarily like it's 70. So if you've been listening to the show, or if you're kind of generally knowledgeable about the show, when you call in the grade, we hope you will fax it in or text it in, or don't fax it in, text it in or call it in. We will read your score, but give us a relative grade as to whether you think Chatham Toyota in Savannah, Georgia should be A, B, C, D, or F. Okay.
And Jonathan, are you referring to the this part of the mystery shopping report?
No, there was some text after the report.
Oh, the text after the report? Do you have that, Earl?
What are we doing?
Do you have that report that Jonathan just mentioned?
Didn't finish.
I don't know.
Here.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Thaddeus.
oh yeah. Thaddeus explained to the processing dock fee. I read that while I was walking away. I'm sorry, I just didn't read the last two paragraphs. While I was walking away, the sales manager ran over and asked if I had any questions. My only question was, is this your absolute best price? He replied that it was, that's rare. Usually they'll say, shop it around. If you could do it better, bring it back, we'll beat it. But he said, no, that's it. He'd removed the market adjustment, but the other options had already been installed on the vehicle. I said I have to check with my husband before making a decision, and I would get back to him. So that's the rest of the report that I forgot to read. And as I say, please let's have your vote. And do we have any votes?
And
Yeah.
that's 772-497-6530. Take advantage of that text number and vote on Chatham Parkway Toyota of Savannah, Georgia.
And the grades are coming in. Johnny Z. Fradley says F for fabulous ripoff. And he also commented, he said, Lumar film is window tint. He thought they were double charging, but actually I think the Lumar film, they probably also make the screen protector that they put on the radio because they hit $295, and that's what that screen protector was charging as. Let's see. Rocky Blockatiel says D for deceptive. Tim Gilliland, in Yuma, what century are we in? Still pushing nitrogen, window tint, and initial market adjustment, and fuzzy math? Get him a D minus. Tom Steckel, my mother told me to give them a D, just a shade above Napleton. Scott Hunter, F, fees, fees, fees. Brian Sedlatko, too many fees, F. Mark Ryan, D minus. Frank, we've got, let's see, enjoyed the comparison of dealerships in Florida being compared to dealership in Georgia, as comparing apples to oranges. Or I guess it would be more appropriate to say peaches to oranges. Grade D for the dealership. Bob says, F, stay away from this dealer. Nitrogen scam alone earns this grade. For me, I'm going to give them I'm actually going to go with a C minus.
C
I'm going to
minus?
say that they've got, everything is like put right in front of you.
Yeah, on the curve, yeah.
You can fight it a little bit. I bet if she actually had stayed and fought, they would have taken off the price of at least the nitrogen.
Yeah, if
and maybe something else.
Yeah, I should have fought harder, longer, but you got to draw the line somewhere.
And this one just in from Anonymous. Wow, deception at its finest. A big fat F.
Okay, Nancy.
Okay, I'll try to make this short, but here's my opinion, and that's when a dealer decides that this vehicle is in high demand, and that they decide to hike up the price for market adjustment, 5%, 50%. Whatever it is, whatever they decide, it's wrong. It's very, very wrong. And they didn't do this mystery shopper any. They didn't. How can I put it without being cut off on the air? Anyway, it wasn't anything that it was favorable. They shouldn't have had a market adjustment on there to begin with, and that's the way it is. And this nitrogen and everything else, come on, it's all old school. Time to move forward. We're in the 21st century. We want to make car dealers look a whole lot better than they looked yesterday. For that, Chatham Parkway Toyota, you get an F from me.
Okay, I'm gonna give him a C minus. I agree with Rick that the average dealer was probably just a little bit better, but not much better. So a C minus instead of a C. I think it would have been a lot more honest to keep the addendum and just say, I'm raising the price of the car X dollars because of supply and demand. When you start putting fees in that aren't fees and false charges, things that are just not real, then you're getting deceptive. But if you look somebody in the eye and say, I'm going to charge you $2,000 more for this car because I can, because it's high demand, low supply, I might not like it, but I would still respect the fact that you have the right as a business person to do it. By trying to trick me to think that this fee is legitimate to get the money, I'd rather have the addendum.
Absolutely.
And no excuse. So that's the reason I give you a C minus.
Okay, folks, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We enjoy your company, absolutely. Saturday in, Saturday out. It never gets old. Stay tuned. Next week at the same time, we'll be right here. Have a fabulous weekend.